How y'all doing? I'm the Watchman, and this is part six of the mark of the beast 666, the mark that the beast left upon God's law and kingdom. Upon God's law and kingdom. Now, before I pick up where I left off in part 5, I want to read a quick comment that was left by a gentleman's name. He calls himself Mr. Human Computer, and he left this comment on at the end of part 5. He left this comment on part 5, but he's talking about the mark being in the hand or the forehead, and we know that means the hands mean action, and we know forehead means what's behind here. Your brain means thoughts. What dictates your actions? Your thoughts, But I like the way he broke it down, so I'm gonna share it with y'all. He says the mark of the beast is not keeping God's law, statutes, and commandments. Some people have the mark in their hands by committing wicked acts or willfully doing things opposite of the law. I added that part in there. But then he goes on to say, some people have the mark in their hands also by making laws contrary to the Father's laws. Others are marked in their heads by saying that the law is done away with and follow after their own vanity. Those who follow the beast and practice wickedness have the mark in their head, meaning their thoughts, in turn, dictates your actions. But that's a great comment, so I had to share it. Now, turn your Bibles with me. Let's go to Revelation 14:11. Let's go to Revelation 14:11, because there's still some, and I know there's a lot, not even some, but there's a lot who may still believe that the mark of the beast is a computer chip in the hand of the forehead. Revelation 14:11 states what the mark is. States what the mark is. It expounds on it a little bit further. Now, Revelation 14:11. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Read it again. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. The worship of his title. And you see how I stated earlier, how I said every place in Revelation where from chapter 13 on where you see the mark of the beast is guaranteed that you'll see before or after where it says, and who worships the beast in his image. Is God telling us that who worships the beast in his image and the mark are one and the same? That where you find one, you automatically find the other? But what we see right here at the end of verse 11 also is that it says, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name, the mark of his name, add worship in there for mark. Whoever receiveth the worship of his name, the worship of his title. For if this is a religious entity, if whoever received the worship of his title. Now let's go back. God expounds on it. Now knowing that the mark is the mark of his name, it should bring more understanding to Revelation 13 verse 17, where it says, and that no man might buy or sell save. Now save means unless, so I'm gonna read it again with the word unless right there. And that no man might buy or sell unless he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Have you ever wondered why he says that? Why it says he says, why it says he that had, no man can buy or sell unless he that has the mark. Then it says or the name of the beast. Now that or is big. Now see, if it said and he that had the mark and the name of the beast, that means it'll be two different ones. But it says he's that has the mark or, and see, that shows Lord is saying he doesn't even have to have the mark. If he has the name of the beast, it is equivalent to the mark. Could it be equivalent? Because like we seen in 14:11, that it is the same. that it is the same. And that is why it says or. It says he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, again, right there, the name is mentioned. Let's see why. Let's see why. Because there, God is showing three things. He is saying, you can't, no man can buy or sell unless he that has the mark. Now the mark is worship. He's saying, you're only accepted by the beast if you worship the beast. And then when it says or, let's say you don't even have the mark. You don't have the mark. You don't have the worship. Because it says or the name of the beast. The name of the beast, you know, that stands for title. So if you carry the beast title, meaning you are affiliated with the beast. So God is saying right here, you're also accepted by the beast if you are affiliated with the beast. So we see two things now. With the mark, if you are accepted by the beast, if you carry the beast, if you worship like the beast tells you to worship, or if you are affiliated with the beast. And then see the third one. The third one says, or the number of his name. When somebody has your number, or somebody, or you say, if you have somebody's number, now you are reaching a personal connection. A personal connection. You know, it's like saying almost, you know, I know your number, you know, almost like a phone number. It's a personal connection. So what God is saying is, you know, you are accepted by the beast if you have one, if you worship like the beast wants you to worship, which is the mark, or if you are affiliated with the beast, that's if you carry his name, his title, or if you have a personal connection with the beast, if you carry the number of his name. Now, verse 18 says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. See, it says count the number of the beast, not the number of his name. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And I want to let y'all know, in part 7, I am going to reveal what this number is. Yes, it says, and here is wisdom. And then it goes at the end of the verse, it says, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. We all know 666. And in part 7, the next series, I am going to reveal to y'all what this number actually is. What this number actually is. All right, let's continue. Let's continue on. Let's go back now. In part 5, where I left off in 5, was I want to go back to Exodus 31. Let's go back to Exodus 31. Why the Sabbath? Why did the beast, which was given power by the devil, which is backed by the devil's kingdom, why did the devil change the fourth commandment? This is what I want y'all to, why did the devil change the fourth commandment? Now I'm going to read. This is Exodus 31, and I'm going to read verse 12. I'm going to start at verse 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Did he say it's a sign until Christ is crucified? Because many Christians will tell you, oh, the law was done away with at the cross. Oh, the Sabbath, that was changed at the cross. God, Jesus changed that. No, he says, throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Verse 14, ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. Shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And then in verse 17, it says again, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Then he uses the word forever. So I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna be blatant. So if anybody, beloved, you see, God, the word says forever. So if anybody says the Sabbath is changed, or the law and the Sabbath was done away with, aren't they basically calling God a liar? If God said it's going to be a sign between me and you forever, and somebody comes along and says, nah, it was changed. It was done away with. Jesus done away with that at the cross. I don't know. We're living past the cross, ain't we? God said it would be a sign forever. So think about it. If the devil can change, get you to, if God said do this certain thing and that should be our sign between each other, that's how I'm going to know. That's how I'm going to recognize. Say I'm God and I say do this certain thing and I say that is how I'm going to recognize my children. If somebody comes along and says, he switched it up, do this and do this, do this, do this, I'm not going to recognize my children if they do the sign different, right? It's almost like sign language. Wow, this thought just hit me. It's almost like sign language. If someone is deaf and all they know is sign language, and I'm supposed to do a word, if I want to tell them to raise up their arms, but I do a completely different sign, they're going to sit there and just look at me confused like, we have no idea what you're doing. Why? Because I'm not doing the sign that says raise your arms. So the devil has us doing, he has Christians nowadays, with him changing the fourth commandment, he has Christians doing a sign that says, you are not my God. For what 31 verse 13 says, he said, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that does sanctify you. So if you do the sign different, you're saying you're not the Lord that sanctifies us. For your sign has changed. Anyway, for the Lord expounds on it. And not only that, let's turn to Exodus 20. Let's go back to the commandments. Let's go to the commandments themselves. I want y'all to peep. What's the first word? The other commandments you see, thou shalt, thou shalt, thou shalt, thou shalt, thou shalt. The first word of the fourth commandment, which is Exodus 20, verse 8, the first word is remember. Now, if I was God and you was my child, and I knew somebody was going to come along and change it, wouldn't I tell you to remember? That's the first word we see is remember. Or what if you're my child and you're leaving home and there's something I really want you to that I really want you not to forget? What am I going to yell out to you while you're leaving? Hey, remember. Do you think it's a coincidence that the first word of the fourth commandment is remember? And not only that, it's the longest commandment out of all the 10. Again, if I'm a parent and I got some rules placed up on the wall for my children, and there's one of the rules, all the rules take up this much space on the paper, but one of the rules take up this much space. Wouldn't that naturally assume that maybe that's the rule that I want them to pay the most important attention to, that I want them to pay the most attention to? And why? Because like I said in part 5, the Sabbath commandment is the only commandment that states God's authority as creator of all things. Like we said, that sign that God is our creator and our Lord. This is the Sabbath is God's sign. And in us following and keeping it, we are showing God that we are his servants, his followers. So if the devil can change God's sign, then subliminally, even unknowingly, he'll have you saying, no, that we're his followers, that we're not God's followers, because we're not doing the sign as we should. We're not doing the sign as we should. Now, I want you to know that what's the first thing that God taught man? What was the first thing that God taught man? Let's go turn to Genesis. Turn to Genesis chapter 1. And we see that from verse 24 to verse 31, that's what it was the creation of man. Man was created on the 6th day. God said, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day. So the 7th day is the Sabbath. The first thing God taught man was how to keep the Sabbath. You see that? Man was created on the 6th day. And on the 7th day, God rested and taught him how to keep the Sabbath. the first thing that was taught to man